That's what's causing a lot of our problems right now, because people are hearing their misinformed biases reinforced by television news, and that's creating this feedback loop that, of course, builds up this energy that,
Yeah.
well, we got to find someone to punish. And in the case of gas prices, for example, people know, or the gas companies know, that people will blame Joe Biden, and so that then therefore they can artificially inflate the price of gas.
Yeah.
And that's the little trick that everyone is waging in concert with each other. It's kind
Yeah.
of
I,
really
yeah.
disturbing given the stakes.
Yeah. I wanted to just play the president yesterday on this. On
Saw
inflation.
today's inflation data. 70% of the increase in prices in March came from Putin's price hike in gasoline. We need to address this challenge with an urgency that demands. That's why I've called on Congress to move immediately to lower the cost of families' utility bills, prescription drug bills, and more, while lowering the deficit to reduce inflationary pressures. And that's what we've done. We lowered the deficit by $300 billion so far.
Yeah.
And it's expected. So, folks, we can do these things without raising a penny in tax on anybody in this hall. Yeah. In this giant barn.
First of all, have you seen that story anywhere in the media? Have you heard anyone cover the deficit?
No.
Right. Anything that's good
not
for
at all.
Biden, they don't cover. One last one, the president.
Family budget, your ability to fill up your tank, none of it should hinge on whether a dictator declares war and commits genocide and half a world away.
Yeah. I mean, so this is what you were referring to, I think, Bob. The monthly consumer price index report says that while inflation continues to rise, some economists appear pleased, with one stating the report is slightly better than anticipated. Gas price is a big part of the inflation rate. The current report is a rearview mirror look, though, given that gas prices are now coming down. So they add that some economists are hoping the peak of inflation has been reached. They also note the U.S. does not rely much on oil from Russia, so in other countries, inflation is worse. The New York Times tweeted, "We've also seen a big jump in food prices, which is, again, partly the result of the war in Ukraine. Russia and Ukraine are both major global food producers." The headline inflation accelerated in March, but we all knew that would happen. Given gas prices, the bigger surprise is the slowdown in core inflation. And then just one last one from Justin Wolfers said, "A lot of headlines today about inflation at a 40-year high. We have a nice test of whether the media is symmetrically interested in good news, because in the next month or so, it's likely unemployment will hit a 50-year low. Will this attract as many breathless headlines?" See, we're all bulleting as fast as we can. But
yeah, exactly.
Right. But
and by the way, 40 years ago, calculate 40 years ago, Ronald Reagan was president 40 years ago. We just got to make that absolutely clear, that we're not talking about the malaise days of Carter, where certainly there were some indicators during the Carter administration, but it also occurred during the early days of the Reagan administration. The first couple of years were an economic, there was all kinds of economic turbulence that Reagan had to deal with. So let's be clear about parties on all of this. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, also, thank you. Just the fact checking. You said America was not energy independent under Trump. America is not energy independent now. However, we have exported 3.5 quadrillion more units of energy than we imported in 2021 under Biden. Stop letting the Republicans get away with lies about this. I mean, as I think you've mentioned, they're out there saying, oh, unemployment's at a 50-year high. They will just say the opposite of what's true. And so that's all we can do is try to combat that with fact checks, right?
Well, yeah, there is that. There's one that's an important aspect of messaging right now, to push back against the lies. But we don't want to make that exclusively the Democratic message. What we need to do is come up with messaging that seizes the initiative and takes the fight to the Republicans, rather than constantly triaging whatever the Republicans are saying. So what that means is coming up with, slogans, things, memes, ways to attack the Republicans that don't involve trying to debunk the Republicans. Like, we're constantly that guy that walks behind the elephants in the parade, scooping up their poop. No, we don't want to be that. What we want to be is the elephant that's actually doing the pooping.
Yeah.
Not literally, of course.
You made a lot of poop and fart jokes, and that's why this is my favorite segment with you so far.
Can I edit this metaphor? This is just getting way out of hand.